A lot of people are seeing it as the conventional striker versus grappler matchup. You've heard it a million times on all the different outlets, right? But I do think that this is going to be a really good test for Grant Dawson. You're coming off of a Damir Ismagulov win, and you're running into Bobby King Green. You might say, step down in opposition. But that's the thing, man. Bobby Green's seen it all, done it all, fought all of the good guys, done it on short notice, done it on full camps. And I think he's going to try to have something to prove against Grant Dawson, because this is, once again, another spot where Grant Dawson has to have a stunning, dominant performance. Anything less than that will be a disservice to him and not get him to those call-outs that he wants to make after the fight. AJ, trap game for Grant Dawson? What do you think?
Ooh, I think so, Derek. A little bit of trap game going on. Folks, there's a reason Bobby Green is the golden voice of our sleeper section, because he says it best himself. You keep sleeping on him, he's going to wake you up. And by waking you up, that means he's knocking people out left and right. He's even finishing El Kukui by submission. This guy has done it all, seen it all, and like Derek said, in a various amount of time and in a various amount of ways. There's nothing Bobby Green hasn't even seen. Man, this guy is going to be not necessarily a great fighter for years and years and years. Maybe people not going to remember his name, but if you're a true fan of the sport, a true fan of fighting, you know who King Green is. This guy shows up, and Grant Dawson has an absolute test on his hands. If there's any bit of Grant Dawson that's doubting Bobby Green in this fight, man, this is going to be a long one. This is going to be a molehill made into a mountain if there's any doubt going in there. What do you think, Derek? Is this going to be just classic Grant Dawson wrestling match like the media is making it to be, wrestler versus striker? I think Bobby Green might have some tricks up his sleeves, but we'll see. What do you think?
It's tough, man, because yeah, absolutely. I do think that if Grant Dawson does what Grant Dawson does, he should definitely walk into a victory right here. A pretty straightforward one. The problem becomes, can he not get the fight to where he wants it, which is on the ground? And I think he'll be able to do it. But Bobby Green does have a bit of a wrestling background, but I have to pump the brakes a little bit. I love me some Bobby Green. A lot of people talk about how good of a grappler he is. I've seen him grapple, actually, like pure grappling, not MMA, like a grappling event. He went to a jiu-jitsu event. It was one of the Apex events that they had, one of the first ones that they did. And I'm just going to say, I love me some Bobby Green, but he kind of got mauled when he went and did that, right? So in pure grappling against one of the highest level dudes to do it, Grant Dawson, not his wheelhouse. That's not what we want to entertain. Of course, you're going to say it on the mic, but in the grand scheme of things, get out at distance, box him up, get him away from the hips. Don't let him come anywhere near your hips. So this is one of those real issues, man, because look at the Drew Dober fight, for an example. Look at the Jared Gordon fight, for an example. Bobby Green can be that dude who either has that really sharp shooter, I'm on your ass from the jump and it's looking real dangerous, then it all falls apart. But we saw also in the Jared Gordon fight, he can have that slow start and still work his way back into the fight. People question Grant Dawson's cardio. I don't think it's something they should question, but after a hard one round of just domination, backpack, you took his back, you controlled him, Bobby Green comes back up to the feet round two. You think he could be one of those 3 minutes of nonstop jab in that face, slickster, hand style, putting it on him? What do you think?
I think so, Derek, especially if Bobby Green, maybe he shuts down 2 takedowns, 3 takedowns, something in there. But yeah, I think Grant Dawson's going to get this fight to the mat. But if Bobby Green can keep him working, keep that supposed lack of gas tank dropping and draining, then I think Bobby Green shows up in round 2 and really puts the work on. One of the big things I was thinking about for Bobby Green, how's he going to win this fight? The X's and O's, they're there. There's ways. You're throwing uppercuts. You're throwing front kicks. You're throwing things down the middle, knees, whatever the case is. But Bobby Green, if he's able to fight that ego of Grant Dawson, get him thinking in his head, get him working, get him tired mentally as well as physically, and then start mouthing off and throwing the 1s and 2s, Bobby Green can see some effect right here. I don't think Grant Dawson's necessarily the young fighter he once was where that's going to happen, especially in his last fights, man. We've seen him stay strictly to the plan. Grant Dawson's a good guy, but if Bobby Green fights that ego, I think this is going to be the best outcome for him. That being said, it's pretty damn hard.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, we can conjure up as many different scenarios as we want. Like you said, we love Bobby Green. We think he's a slickster on the feet. He has some underrated grappling, but in terms of this matchup here, Grant Dawson can strike. I think that's not where he wants to be. But the problem is, once he takes you down, he doesn't just sit there and try to do a bunch of fancy stuff. He controls you, and he does not allow you to move for the remainder of the round. The only thing that I can see problematic is that the judge is saying, yeah, you controlled him, but did you beat him up? Did you put any damage? And then we run into that argument all over again. I think if you control 4 of the 5 minutes, you win the round, personally. That's how I feel. But let's kind of talk about these odds, man. Opened as a minus 380 favorite, currently swole to a minus 440 favorite. A lot of love for Grant Dawson. Of any of these props here, the ones that I want to talk to you about the most are going to be the Very simple two of them right there. Plus 130 for the submission. Grant Dawson wants to become the first man to submit Bobby King Green in his illustrious, like, 45 fight career. Does he get it done, AJ, at plus 130 odds?
That's the one that I was looking at most, Derek, right there, because yeah, plus 130 for Grant Dawson because he stays so active on the ground in the control. Like you said, he's not doing stuff fancy, but very technical. We talk about it all the time. Technical gets you the job done, the fastest, most efficient route. Submission looks good, but I don't know, man. Bobby Green, he hasn't done it, like you said, in 45 fights. I kind of like that decision at plus 230. I think this will be a controlling outfare or a controlling outing, excuse me, for Grant Dawson. Do you think he gets that submission?
I don't think he gets the submission, but I like that plus 450 TKO, and I do not understand why that number is swollen so high. If this is anywhere near a repeat of the Makhachev versus Bobby Green fight, Makhachev didn't submit him. What did he do? You take him down, you control him, and you beat him up. All they have to do is shell up a little bit, put their head, when their head is facing the canvas, they're shelled up. The referee gets the immediate signal of the fight's over. Let's stop this thing. And I think that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to call it here. Not my prop lock, but I do like plus 450 TKO for Grant Dawson. And if you look at it, I can understand why you wouldn't want to pick that. Look at the last like 5 finishes of Grant Dawson. Like 4 or 5 of them are submissions. You know what I mean? So it's like, of course, you'd want to go for it. But when you know it's an easier path to victory to knock him out than it is to submit him, then you take it. So I don't got anything else on this one. I think Grant Dawson by pretty much domination, more or less. But I'm looking for a valiant fight from Bobby Green. Anything else, AJ?
I like it, Derek. I like where your head's at. I'm still going with the decision plus 235. I got a little hope for Bobby Green in the back pocket. Let's see if he pulls it out.
All right, fair play.